Hey everybody, so today I'm gonna give like a very quick flip through of my June 2018 to December 2018 bullet journal, and I'm gonna try to make this as quick as possible because this thing is a monster. It is 500 pages. It was massive. I'm genuinely surprised that I was able to finish it before the new year so that I could start on my a brand new bullet journal, which I will be posting videos of later on. My setup and everything for that as well. But yeah, so let's get started on this very quick 500 page flip through. Page 1 is, I started this bullet journal when Detective Pikachu came out. Give me 1 second. I really like the inside of this. So I decided to draw Detective Pikachu. I wanted to draw Detective Pikachu. And then I actually drew this before I went to go see the movie, and the movie was super cute and I liked it. Anyway, next, I always put an index in my bullet journal. These have been super helpful, especially when, I'm looking for something very specific and I can't find it. And then, hey, look, I numbered all 500 pages. So this was a, I don't do this very often, but I've kind of started getting into the habit of doing like kind of motivational things. So I found this online. I do not remember where I found it, but it's like 8 things to do if you're overwhelmed, or 8 things to remember when you're going through life. And so it was I just wrote down all of the 8 things. The background, I did this throughout this journal because I really love doing this, where it's like you take markers, put them on a plastic bag, spritz it with water, and then just kind of rub it all over the page, and you get these really cool kind of faux watercolor effects. And I did that, I did this one in particular with mild liners, but later on I started doing it with like Staedtler markers, Crayola Super Tips, all sorts of things. Basically anything that I have a marker of. And then this is the start of my year at a glance, or my future log. I don't do the thing where you have like a bunch of teeny tiny calendars. I've never found that useful, but I always found the future log itself useful in this particular journal because I had so many pages. I went ahead and made like a full year, so this one is all the way through till next June. However, this January and June I don't have a whole lot of plans for the next 6 months, so we'll see what's going on. Again, this was made with mild liners, and I believe this was with black Staedtler dual tip marker. You will see a lot of these paper clips, and a lot of the time it's just stuff that's like really boring and I don't really feel like discussing, and sometimes it's personal stuff that I just don't want to share. At least I'm not ready to share. But for this, even though this is like a big chunk of stuff, this was the calendar. This was my June setup and everything, and I'll show you basically what they look like later on. But all throughout this year, I was having a really hard time trying to find what I wanted my monthlies to look like. My weeklies are just wonky throughout the year. I don't even remember what my weeklies look like for June because I haven't taken these paper clips off since July. So it's like, you know what? The past is in the past. So let's move on. So this paper is actually like a rainbow legal pad that I've had lying around, and I actually cut it down to size to fit onto here, and it's actually covering up a old spread. I'm not entirely sure what was on the spread before I did this, but I decided to repurpose this spread for something that would be useful, and it was like the pros and cons of this particular journal. And the biggest con is that it is really, really big, and it made it very hard for me to carry around with me. So even though I love this journal and I love all of the progress that I made with it, and all the things I learned while I had it, I will not be going this big ever again. Maybe in the future. We'll see. Next is just it was another spread that I covered over, and I made this things that I can take with me, where it was just like a list of things that I wanted to carry over into the next bullet journal. However, I never really finished this list. I probably got distracted. That happens a lot. Okay, so I made I got really into Good Omens when it came out, and I'm also a cosplayer, even though I haven't really been doing a whole lot of cosplay in the last several years, just like money and other issues, especially personal stuff. And that's for another video. And I really wanted to cosplay either Crowley or Aziraphale. I wasn't entirely sure which one, so I reached out to my cosplayer friend, who we've been cosplaying together for years, and we're kind of like a dynamic duo in that sense. But I reached out to her, and she's like, "Sure, I'll do it if you make female versions of them." So I started drawing female versions, and they got out of hand. I filled up so many pages of different outfit ideas, and then I came up with like this little mini comic, and I just, yeah, you can see it all on my Instagram with better pictures and everything. But I actually this is watercolor that I put over it, and I actually learned this from a YouTuber called Hullo Alice, Hullo Alice. And one of the things that she does in her sketchbooks is that she'll paint over pencils with watercolor. So I decided to try that, and that's why everything is blue and red. And while you'll be seeing a lot of different weird colors later on. But yeah, I actually really like how these came out, and I don't finish a whole lot of things, but only because like I either lose interest or because I like the way that they look unfinished. And I really like how this one came out, so I just don't want to finish it. Here's some sketches of stuff. This is me playing with my Posca markers, because I love I think I just got my Posca markers, and I decided to try them out for the first time here, and that's what I did. And of course, anybody who knows me, of course I'm going to do something Legend of Zelda related. This is a character from Black Clover, because I was actually teaching a young girl how to draw, and I asked her who her favorite character was, and she said it was this girl whose name I have forgotten. However, she's from Black Clover. And then I drew the Flash. I don't know why, I just did. This is more this is more Good Omens fan art. I really wanted to, I just had this idea in my hand. I had this idea in my head, and I wanted to go over, and I just wanted to draw that. However, I'm not very good at hands, but this was good practice. And I did, the way that they only have, Posca markers only have like 2 shades of brown. They don't have a tan color that I know of. And so I used that brown, and it really looked like Dr. Tens, played by David Tennant. It looked like his jacket, and then it looked like Dr. Nine's jacket, and I was like, oh, it's the doctor who doesn't want to go. Yeah. On this page, we have, I'm still working on, because I do want to teach art. However, not having a car has greatly impeded my ability to do so. But now that I'm going to be more mobile pretty soon, I'm thinking about this again. But I was just playing around with the different art styles, and I love Mabel, and I love her. It's like, oh, you like turtles? I like turtles. What's happening here? So I did the art. Yeah, great joke. Really? Come on. Let's work with me. I drew that I didn't participate in Mermay this year because May was a month from hell. And it was just not a good month for me or my mental health. So toward the end of June, I really wanted to draw a mermaid, so I drew a mermaid. And then later on, as I was like going back through this, I'm like, you know what, I should color this. And so I did some watercolor, and I didn't really want to change up color, so I just did the one color. And I think it came out pretty well. I like it. This is July, and again I did the wow, cool, awesome. Let's do this again. Hello and welcome to my bullet journal flip through. This is the watercolor, or the faux watercolor effect done with markers. These are, the background was done with my zebra mild liners. I believe this is still my black Statler marker, and this was just a lie. This was just a lie, really. This was just July. But yeah, again, I did the thing where you can kind of sort of see it, and I just don't feel like I can put paper clips on, but I'm too lazy to take them off. This book is too... okay. So anybody who is on my Instagram or my Patreon, I have a Patreon, by the way, if you didn't know, I did a bunch. I did 12 dragon illustrations, and I made a calendar out of them. I actually planned this out back in July. Believe it or not, and I wrote down all my notes. It's like, this is the monthly flower, this is the monthly gemstone. I found out that a lot of months have multiple gemstones and multiple flowers and multiple colors. And yeah, if you take a look at my Redbubble, which has all of them, all of the dragons individually, you can see that they are a mess. Anyway, these are some of the jars that I wanted to put dragons in. Some of the ones I wound up using, some of them I did not. Like for May, I actually wound up using a fishbowl instead of the bottle, just because I had a really cute idea for that, and it came out a lot better. But yeah, some of these you may recognize, some of them you don't. Some of them I'm going to definitely use later on for different dragons, just because I had so much fun drawing my dragons that I wanted to continue. These are I did some very brief sketches of the different types of flowers that were, the different types of flowers of the month and everything, just so it's like, okay, I'm gonna look at these and see what I can do without one thing that I did do is that if there was like a repeating thing, like multiple months had like daffodils or something like that, but if that was their only flower, then I'm like, okay, whatever, you get a daffodil, everybody gets a daffodil. Or if they had the same birthstone, I I didn't want to repeat anything, so like February and March both have Bloodstone. So I only did Bloodstone in February and not in March. And then other things happened. Anyway, here are some beautiful pictures of flowers. I was also... I'm still obsessed with Dungeons and Dragons, but I was very, very into Dungeons and Dragons. I think I had just finished listening to all of the Adventure Zone, and I had just started listening to Critical Role for the first time. And I was still obsessed with Good Omens in July. And I wound up turning Aziraphale and Crowley into D&D characters, and I had so much fun just creating them and everything, but the only I'll show you in a second, but I created these guys specifically for one single joke, and the joke just got so out of hand. And then, like, everybody gets a character. It's like the them are D&D characters. Newt and Anathema are D&D characters. I just love them so much. But the joke was this. It's really dumb, but this is this was the image that popped into my head that made me create all of this. And yeah, that's it. That's all I wanted to do. And then here are some notes about I want to start a podcast in 2020. I do have some ideas for what kind of a podcast I want to do. I might even do multiple podcasts. We'll find out. But these are all just notes that I took, and it's very, very boring to look at. So the purple paper is again covering up a spread that I didn't really have a use for anymore, and I wanted to repurpose this spread, so I covered it in purple paper. And I found this awesome picture of Trixie,
severely damaged comic, so it's okay.
Trixie,
the Magnificent.
And when I put her here,
My Little Pony comic.
What else can
so
go
I cut
here?
her
And so it was
out
blank
of
for a
the
really
comic.
long time.
Don't worry, it was.
And then I wrote brain dump across in my Posca markers. And then I kind of like picked up a Crayola marker and just kind of did these swirly things, and I still didn't know what to put on there, so I went back like maybe a week or two later, and I was looking at this, and I just wrote, "There's nothing here." And that's it. I actually really like how this came out, and just, I mean, it fits Trixie to a T, I feel like, but I like Trixie, so. This is an original character. Her name is Emily Newton, and her alter ego is Valley Girl. She is a fashion designer by day, and she's a cheerleader superhero by night. Or whenever she feels like it. Time is no master. But yeah, I hadn't drawn her in a very long time, and I just decided to fill a spread. I might bring her back for a lot more stuff. These are dragons! I actually looked up sleeping cats and decided to base my sleeping dragons off of sleeping cats. And so I did a bunch of different cat poses, but then I turned them into dragons. And some of these dragons turned into calendars. I help out at a library, and they were doing a Harry Potter birthday party for July 31st, and these are just some of the notes of things. I came up with the yarn owl thing, and then I drew this little Harry Potter thing. Fun fact, I'm not actually a huge fan of Harry Potter, but, you know, I like a good party. I was having I'm not a sketcher. Like, I don't like sketching, but one of the things that I really want to get more used to is just sketching and letting things, well, I was going to say letting things die, but more so just being happy with not having to finish every single thing that I do. So I created this spread of things to make your sketchbook pop, but really it's things to make me happy with my sketchbook. And it's like if I fill the entire page versus just like drawing one big doodle in the middle of the page and then that's it. Adding dimension to a particular sketch, adding color, working on one sketch every single day, using a random prompt generator, draw everything, anything that comes to mind, even if it's something as stupid as a paperclip. Hey, somebody made a lot of money off of that paperclip for Microsoft Word, let me tell you. Even if it's good or bad, if it's just like, how are you feeling right now? We'll draw everything. And then experiment with lettering. And so I did that, and that experiment went very wrong. And then, of course, number 8 is have fun. Just have fun. If you feel like if you're not having fun with it, move on. Like, no, that's all I can say about that, honestly. But yeah, these are just 8 simple ways to make your sketchbook, make you happier with your sketchbook. Or me happier. This is for me. You can use it too, but it's mostly for me. So the first thing we see, of course, is my favorite group of people, the Scoop Troop. I love them immensely. I really, really liked the season 3 of Stranger Things. Scoop Troop was my absolute favorite part. These are just some notes about a program that was coming to the library that I was helping out with called DigiZine. And I took some notes about how to like advertise for it. And it's like, oh, let's actually make a zine to advertise for our DigiZine. And then you can barely see them, but there's some more sketches of like candles and incense and stuff for future dragon projects. But yeah, my babies. If I could adopt 4 children in this world, it would be those 4. So I want to do the OC style challenge, but I couldn't find one that I liked, so I decided to make my own, and I picked out 20 different styles that I wanted to try. And of course I'm probably going to wind up doing Valley Girl in each of them, but for right now it's still kind of a challenge that it's a challenge to get this challenge finalized. I want to see myself out. I have been rewatching Captain Planet. So I love Captain Planet. I have always loved Captain Planet. However, Captain Planet is super dated, and I just needed to update it. I kept Whoopi Goldberg as Gaia because she's the one true Gaia to me, the goddess of Earth. Wheeler and G and Kwame and Linka and Mati, and I kind of updated all of them. I made Mati more indigenous. And then I also gave Linka more of a almost a Bulgarian, Lithuanian style versus like a straight up Russian style. And then Kwame, Kwame's pretty much the same. He looks a little bit more modern. Guy is just straight up surfer girl. I really like how she came out. And then Wheeler is just Wheeler. I feel like boys' styles in America haven't changed in the last 30 years, which is, honestly, if we are being honest. But yeah, that I also was playing with other things, like I was also playing with like sexuality, and with Guy, I made her transgender, and then with Monty, I kind of want to play with the idea that Monty is mute, but can communicate with the others the way that he could in the original series. I wrote it all on my archive of my own, which if you want to find it, you can. But I wrote out everything there. But I had just a really, really fun time creating these characters, or just recreating them and making them more modern. I also loved the idea of Captain Planet being a homunculus instead of just like a Superman redesign. Because if you watch the series, it is very obvious that he is just reused Superman footage. And I wanted to make him more unique in that sense. But I kept his little medallion that's in the middle of his chest. August! Again, this was done with mild liners and Statler, black Statler marker. This is supposed to say, do good recklessly. On occasion, I will just come across something, like a phrase or something that just speaks to me on a spiritual level, and I have to write it. I have to do something with it. I'm just going to move that because I don't need it right now. And do good recklessly is just something that spoke to me on a very, very spiritual level. And I needed to put it somewhere where I could look at it and contemplate it and kind of meditate on it for a while. I'm not huge on meditation, but this definitely kind of helps to give me something to ground myself and to focus on. Just like this one, the Take a Moment song from Steven Universe, where Connie and Steven are trying to figure out what's going on, like, with them emotionally and how they have to, like, combat their own emotions. Again, spoke to me on a spiritual level, and it's about finding your center and finding peace with the wrongs that you have done in your life. And I was at a time, there was a point in my life when I first saw that I was just like, yeah, that's what I'm going through right now. I still haven't finished Steven Universe. Well, at least I haven't watched the movie yet, and I really want to. But, yeah, I needed this moment at the right time. So, random sketches of stuff. This is when I got my journal, or what it's going to be, my new bullet journal. So I started trying to figure out what I wanted to have on the cover, but I still wasn't feeling any of that. And then we jumped to September. I think this was with mild liners. I used a plastic bag, like as in a shopping bag, instead of like a sandwich bag, and it didn't come off as well. So I didn't really, I also watched Infinity Train for the first time in September, and I loved it. This was done entirely in Posca markers. So all of the color is done in Posca markers, and I really, really love how this came out. I started word crawling, and why is that there? I started word crawling in September. However, I only did it in September, because when we get to October, you will find out why I only did some word crawls. I don't think I logged all of my word crawls, but this is definitely something I'm going to be carrying on with me into the next year, because I got a book to finish. I'm going to finish it. I'm excited. So my best friend and I were living together up until very recently. We're still on very good terms, so don't worry. It's just we had different life circumstances that led to us not living together anymore. But while we were living together, she was going through all of Star Trek DS9, and I would occasionally sit there and watch with her. And I love the Ferengis. I really, really do. I love that they're stupid but they're like really good at math. It's just, they're dumb and I love them. And I love them so much. I created my own Ferengi, and she is a supply officer for the Federation, and her name is Alizira. And she's actually like a huge she's very, very feminist as far as Ferengis are concerned, and she's a rabble-rouser, and she's kind of been pushed out of Ferengi society because her ideals are very non-traditional. As you can see, she wears clothes. And she's kind of pulling other female Ferengis into her way of thinking. And she's just, I love her. One of her catchphrases is, "There's only one rule of acquisition worth a damn. The golden rule. Always listen to Alizira." And I love her. She's my new favorite thing. My second favorite thing is her mother. Her mother is, she's a traditionalist in the sense that she doesn't like clothes. She's like, you know what? I'm going to enjoy I'm going to enjoy my life. And much to Alizira's chagrin. It's like, I live on a Federation ship and my mother is running around naked. Fantastic. Wonderful life. Man, that's if you haven't realized by now, I am a huge nerd. So I got into I really wanted to do Inktober this year. So I actually accidentally found a video by MD Campbell on YouTube about how to prepare for Inktober, and the background is done with Crayola Super Tips, but I pretty much just wrote down all of his, like, what he does to prepare for Inktober, and I decided to kind of use that as motivation for going into Inktober, and that led to a bunch of planning. So it's just like, oh, and then there's this list, and this list, and this list, and the main list, and everything, and it's just, there's a lot went into all of this. One thing that my best friend and I would do is we would watch a bunch of horror movies, and one horror movie in particular, or like, there's not one movie in particular, there's a lot of them. I've seen way more than what is on this list. It's just, it got to the point where I was checking out movies from the library that I thought that I hadn't seen, but we would get through like 15 minutes of that movie and we're like, wait a minute, we've seen this before. So I actually started keeping track of everything that we had seen. And this is everything that we watched from September onto the end of November end of October. We moved out in October. Yeah, end of October when we moved out of our last apartment. Speaking of October, I went back to Mildliners for this one. This was with Crayola Super Tips. It was just it was three. It was 3 Crayola Super Tips. But yeah, this was back with Mildliners. And yeah, I actually really like how this one came out. I think it looks way better than September. But yeah, here is the master list for Inktober. I collected so many. Every list I found, I wrote it down, and it just got out of control. So out of control. And while I was doing that, I was also watching the new season of Disenchantment, which is a show that I absolutely love. I love all of the amazing female characters that they have in it, so I started sketching them all out. We have Bean, Demon, or Devil Bean, her mother, Dagmar, Una, Queen, Pirate Queen, and then, oh lord, I've already forgotten her name, but the bear, the Forest Selkie. Oh, I loved her. She was my favorite. Yeah. And then this was some planning for an art show that I was planning on entering, but October got so crazy because we had to move at the end of the month. That our lease was up. There was no more. We had to go. And yeah, that was it. So I did some planning for it. It just didn't work out. Yeah, so by this point in time, I realized that I had filled up my entire index because this book is so big. So this is actually halfway through. And so I decided, you know what, this would be a perfect time for me to make a new index, and so I did. I didn't fill it up all the way because most of it is, well, you're about to see. But as soon as we turn the corner, we have all of my sketches that I did for Inktober. And we're just going to flip through all of these really quickly. If you want to take a better look at all of these, please go to my my Instagram and check it out, because I put them all there with close-up shots and everything, and a little bit of like if I had something to say about that particular day, I would. I actually, because October was so busy that I did not finish Inktober, or at this point I guess it's Sketchtober because I didn't do any inking at all. I actually did finish this eventually, but it wasn't until like halfway through November that I finished this. Because I would take like a week off just to be like, I am moving, I need to pack, I need to focus on something that's just I gotta go. But this actually, this helped me realize that I really do like sketching. I really do like filling up entire pages of sketches and everything, and just kind of working off of prompts and just like, okay, cool. And this is the very last day of Inktober, because then we get into November. This is similar to October just because I reused a lot of the same colors, but I added red, which I didn't use in October, so it's not exactly the same. And then this is, I had the idea, I do have like a very gothic style, or at least my dream style is a very gothic style, and I wanted to come up with something that was southern friendly. Because I live in the South, and in the South, everything is hot. It is currently 75 degrees outside right now, and it's December 31st. That's unacceptable. At one point in time, I was asked to, one of my friends asked me if I could dress up as Santa Claus for an event at the library, and I was like, that's cool, but what happens if I show up as Mrs. Claus? Like, I think that would be fantastic. So I started designing her outfit, but then turns out I wasn't able to do it. So this is all the plans that I have for a lot of these sketches that I did for Inktober, and you'll definitely be seeing me working on these this year. This was my plan for my calendar, because it's like, I think over Thanksgiving I had the idea that I wanted to do something, like I wanted to do a calendar, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. And then I remembered, aren't all my dragons like made for calendars? And so I'm like, why don't I just do that? Durr. So I started planning out all of my calendars, and I did all of the calendar days and everything. It just wound up looking really good. Like, I really, really love how my calendar came out, and it's just absolutely beautiful. I really love it. It's fantastic. And then I really love this one. I was just playing with different turtle heads. It was great. October was needlessly complicated, but I'm an October baby, so... And then December came out really beautiful. Here I am messing with different types of outfits, and I just put a character of mine in all of the outfits just because, like, oh, I wonder how would she look in this? So I just filled 3 pages of sketches. These are different art prompts for me to do. I actually wrote all of these down onto pieces of paper and threw them into a prompt cup, which I use a lot, actually. Different landscapes that I want to draw, video ideas that I want to do, things I want to read or watch or listen to. This is me actually planning the cover for my new bullet journal, and I have I don't have a video of that, but it's all on my Instagram. And then this is like, what do I want to do for my very last page of this book? And I always like to do like kind of a goodbye to the year kind of page, and I decided to go with a now leaving 2019. December, still with mild liners. So yeah, this is what my monthlies look like. I wanted really big squares that I wound up, like, December was really busy, so I didn't spend a whole lot of time on stuff. I also did a spread just for a year in review, which I will fill out, but I feel like it might be a little too personal for me to share with the world, so I didn't fill it out before this video. I always do a brain dump. All of my brain dumps look different, but they're all relatively the same. And then I'm got into sketchnoting, and sketchnoting uses a lot of headers and everything, so I started practicing with headers. This was my weekly, and so I started doing the rolling weekly thing from, well, it's not from Plant-Based Bride. She actually based hers off of somebody else that I can't remember at the moment, but I really liked the idea, so it's like, you know what, I'll try it out, see what's going on. And it was honestly my easiest weekly that I've done this year. I'm like, cool, guess what I'm doing for the rest of my life? And yeah, I actually started keeping track of, like, oh, so I finished this calendar page, and then I started this calendar page, and then I did this one, and it's like, because October was so freaking complicated, it's like, okay, I'm gonna do these 2 today, those 2 tomorrow, maybe eventually I'll finish within this lifetime. But yeah, that's pretty much my monthly for that. And this is my Themecember challenge, which is a completely original idea I came up with all by myself. Because what I wanted to do, I want to, in the new year, I kind of want to, like, think about more themes to do for my bullet journal. So I decided that I'm going to come up with a random prompt and a random color every single day, and I'm going to actually work on those prompts and see if I can get maybe like a theme idea for them. First day was fantasy, and I really like this. I came up, like, when I was doing this, I came up with the idea of maybe, oh, I can tell a story for each week that I do, and everything, and with it was kind of hit or miss. It's like, I don't really want to tell the story of a comet, but I really like this idea of a cowgirl writing a comic. And then I just came up with an entire story for this girl named Amelia who flies an airship. I don't know of any other pilot named Amelia. Do you? This one I really liked how it came out because I choose the theme and the colors separately so that neither one influences the others, or at least I tried to keep to that. Sometimes I failed and just like, oh, you know what would be a really good theme for this color scheme? Or it's like, well, I don't really like this color scheme for that prompt, but I really like the prompt. So I actually really like how this came out because you don't really think of blues when you think of vines. But I still think they came out really well. Frames. I really like the color scheme, but I just kind of ran out of ideas for this one. The theme for this was curious, and the colors were chosen randomly, so it doesn't seem like it, but it was. This one was mystery, and I just loved the idea of like a young woman coming into a private detective's office and just like, I have a mystery for you to solve, Mr. DeVille. And, you know, everything. Fish! I love this one. These fish were inspired by Amanda Rachley. Stop it. I am a huge fan of Amanda Rachley, and I watch all of her videos as soon as they come out. Well, all of her bullet journal videos. But yeah, I just really like how this one came out, and it's just so cute. And it's again not typical colors that you would use for a fish. I love this one. I think this has to be my favorite one that I did. Just because I love dragonflies and I love the colors, and I really want to see this done in metallic, because I have a green metallic, I have a silver metallic, I have a gold metallic, and I think this just would be so beautiful as a metallic theme. This one was Secret. Lightning. Leaves. Which was just pretty, but I don't really have a whole lot to say. This one was Horns. So I drew a bunch of different animals and a bunch of tieflings. I brought Crowley back. That was my first ever D&D character. I don't know who these two are, but I'm excited to use them as D&D characters eventually. This one was Curse. This is Octavia, and Octavia was a big part of Inktober. She was actually created for Inktober, and she features in a lot of my stuff. So from here on out, she'll be everywhere. Mirrors for this one. I actually filled up this entire page. I still had absolutely no idea what I wanted to do with this. And then I came up with the idea of a house of mirrors. That's totally a thing, and that's what this is. It just shows like going through the maze of the house of mirrors, and then people are coming out of the mirrors. It's scary. Dragons was the December 16th, and it looks really good. I love dragons. This one was Potion, featuring Septima, who is Octavia's sister. And I love how this came out. It's just this Septima all the way. I love her. This one was Fairies, as you can see, and I played around with doing like buggy faces, and I just, you know, I'm not good at not people. Okay, so this one was a complete and total cheat day, because I had seen Klaus the day before, and I just fell in love with those birdhouses, and all I wanted to do was draw the birdhouses from Klaus, and that's it. So the colors and it wasn't random. It was random that I watched the movie, so that counts, I think. This one was Quest, and all the colors were very similar to Legend of Zelda colors. So I just kind of did my own, like, what if there was a girl? Owls! This was another cheat, or at least the prompt was a cheat. The colors were not. The colors were chosen randomly. My friend and I went to a sushi restaurant, and they had this beautiful owl tapestry above their kitchen door, and I just, I'm drawing owls. No one can stop me. No one can stop me. This was Las Vegas, and I actually had more fun messing with all the different fonts of the gambler quote than I did with whatever that mess is. Moon! This one was glass, and I got the idea for a glass blower, creating all of these ornaments, and just kind of showing the process of how you make the ornaments. On December 25th, aka Christmas Day, the prompt was villain, and this was definitely random because there's no way that I would consciously pick these colors for the prompt of random. And then I just wound up drawing different types of villains and layers and whatever, and then kind of the silhouettes of Disney villainesses, and then my all-time favorite villain, Ozymandias from Watchmen, and his quote about how he's like, dude, I pressed the button like 35 minutes ago. Where have you been? This one was also not a random prompt. My friend and I were watching Burlesque the night before with Christina Aguilera and Cher. Not a great movie. Just really not. But I was inspired to draw burlesque girls, and so that's what I did. And so I have them all kind of, I love this. And you'll see this in my next bullet journal, just because I just love that idea so much. The next one was a labyrinth, and the only idea I had was that I did the, you remind me of the babe. What babe? The babe with the power. What power? Power of voodoo. Hoodoo. You two. Do what? Remind me of the babe. And then I played with the idea of like a girl is going through the labyrinth and oh, there's a ghost. And now they're friends. We started working out this week, and so I wanted to do some research on different stuff and like different workouts that I could try, things that I could do at home if I manage to not be able to go to the gym for whatever reason. Also stretching and drinking water. 2 very important things. Do not forget to do those. Next is, what is the prompt? Regal? Yeah, I'm just like murder. Murder is the prompt. Then I had feathers. I really liked the prompt, I really liked the quote that I found. A heart without dreams is like a bird without feathers. And it's pretty. I like it. And then I drew a bunch of feathers. And then the very last one is glowing, where I drew a bunch of lanterns and fireworks and will-o'-the-wisps. And there's like a little bit of a glow around her. She's glowing purple. That's her aura. And then this quote would not leave my head. It's like, don't let anyone dampen your sparkle. And I was just like, you know what? I don't care if it's technically glowing and sparkles don't necessarily glow. I don't care. Don't let anyone dampen your sparkle. God damn it. And this, I actually, this was done like a month ago, but I started looking up sketchnoting. I checked out a bunch of books from the library about it, and I just really was interested in taking notes in a visually interesting way. And so this is me practicing sketchnoting while taking notes about sketchnoting. And then this was me practicing sketchnoting while watching one of Hello Alice's videos about just make art, even if you don't want to. And I just really, yeah, I had more fun creating it. And I mean, I like Hello Alice's videos. This is more just like, what do I want to bring into the new year? And instead of like going super involved like I've done in the past, I just decided, you know what? I'm going to create collections as I feel a use for them, instead of just creating collections and letting them sit there, because I've done that way too much. I'm almost done, I promise. This was my color combinations for Themecember. This is how like I track them, because I didn't want to use too many similar color combinations, because there's obviously colors that I gravitate toward on just like, it's like, oh, I really like that combination, but I used that combination like 2 days ago. So it's like, I don't want them to be that similar. So this is me kind of trying to keep track of it and make sure that I'm not using the same colors over and over again. Next is art that I want to practice. Like I sat down and I actually thought about, okay, what am I bad at? What do I have anxiety about drawing? Put it on here. 2020, we're gonna practice art. Let's go. And finally, I actually did take a video of me coloring this, but not drawing it. And this is just now leaving 2019. And I don't know if I want to post that video, because it is going to be a voiceover video where it's just going to be me talking about how absolute crap 2019 was for me. It was just such a bad year. I hate it. I hate it so much. It's gone now. I'm running off into the sunset, into a new, brand new world. Somewhere in all of my journals there is like a sticker collection, and I decided to put my sticker collection at the very back of this journal. A lot of these came from Michael's, but I really like them. I love the Nixie. She's so cute. Anyway, that is it for this incredibly long video. I had no intention of making it this long, but apparently I had a lot to talk about. Wow, I talk too much. Or not enough. I don't know. One or the other. We'll figure it out. But thank you for joining me on that journey. The next one won't be so bad. Maybe. I don't know. We'll figure it out. We're learning as we go. You want to see how big this is again? I mean, most of this is because of washi tape and paper clips, but I carried that around with me for 6 months. Seven! I started this in June. That was 7 months ago. This year is over. What are we still doing here?